ways that you can turn it into a revenue generator, where people are paying for tournaments, paying the town money to play on your fields, paying day use fees,
Well, I
paying
think right now we're
fees.
talking about, I mean, are we combining these two things, or are we talking about a rec center?
You've got a rec center with a basketball court that you could also play volleyball in. The school could lease it from us to practice volleyball in. There's all kinds of options, but there is an opportunity for it to be self-funded. We just have to explore how to make that work. Are we willing to do that? And it's not anything we can do today or in the next 90 days probably. But are we willing to start the process, or are we just gonna not consider it because it's, there's a lot of work to do with it. I can't do it all. And I'm not asking you guys to do it either. But is there enough value in it or benefit in it to just spend 6 months on it, researching it, and determining if it really is the right thing or not? I don't know today.
I think a lot of it is great. I do think we have to look, from my perspective, look at the realities. We're a town of 4,000 people. I think we're putting the cart before the horse. We first need to see if there's interest and monies to build our own facility. And then at some point, because that's going to be a huge thing to get done, if we can even do that. If the voters approve a bond, if we can staff it, if we can afford it on an annual basis. And then if we want to see if we can save costs and partner with a YMCA or Boys Girls Club, then we can possibly do that. But I think we're talking about this before we even have a facility or hopes of a facility at this point.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of, at the expense of it, the idea of them doing it for the town like Gainesville does is fantastic. What it would do to our town as far as they gotta have outdoor fields, they gotta have tournaments, they gotta do that. Anybody who has kids in anything, soccer, baseball, tournaments, and they go to those girls, volleyball, basketball, whatever, they go to those towns, they know that brings a lot of money to the area. When I say area, that's why I think it's hard for one town of our size to take on that situation. I think it has to be community event, community funded, community organized. If Hickory Creek takes the reins, but shares it, i.e. like fire department expense, there might be more positivity to it because everybody's going to win in this area. I don't think Hickory Creek can take it on themselves and say, hey, we're going to help you do this. If Boys and Girls Club wants to do it and we put up some land, that's fantastic. But what it's going to do in the community is not just Hickory Creek based, it's going to be Corinth, Lake Dallas, Shady Shores, even pull Louisville people over here, and it's going to pull people from everywhere. They call me and they would come here home on the weekends, and you talk about tax dollars going up and not having to worry about that down the road. It's a big deal. You know, the money is the hard part, expensing it on a yearly basis. Those tournaments fund that quite a bit. But just the building itself as a shell is going to be hard, I think, to fund it and expense that. I have no idea how big Swisher Courts is. Anyone?
It's huge. From what I've understood, it's huge and it's extremely nice.
Is it 5,000 to 10,000 square feet?
That's very
Bigger
nice.
than that.
Is it?
It's got 4 basketball courts, I think.
Yeah.
So you know what cost of it? You don't start with 18,000. I don't start with 10 and see how it grows. But the biggest thing is having a little bit of indoor courts, volleyball, basketball, and then some outdoor activity where you can kind of have tournaments here. It's a big deal if we can find a way to make it work. But I think it's a big community focus, not just a small town. I think, you know, if there's an empty school building somewhere that the school district wants to get involved with, and it's a lot of X's and O's and dots and periods and everything else that goes along with it, it's going to be pretty tough to get all the fine tuning. But I would be happy to explore and bring back numbers down the road if that's what they want to do. But I know it's going to be tough.
Chris, do you want to take on and form a committee to look at the costs and expenses for all this?
Sure. I think the expenses as well as the revenue side of it. Talking, you know, if we partner with Corinth and Lake Dallas Soccer Association and Corinth Baseball Association and all the other associations out there, you know, they're currently charging our kids a fee for using their fields. If we share a field, if we have a field that they can use, I would expect for that to be some revenue generation, or we get a portion of those association fees. If you pay $80 to register for soccer 3 times a year, if they use fields in Hickory Creek, we should get a portion of each child's registration fee, just like Lake Dallas and Corinth are sharing now. So we can look at both sides of that coin.
And the bigger part of that is the all-star events that you pull into the town. That's the big part.
All right, so just like the library committee that, met once a month and formed, you have people that you already are looking at putting on a committee to look at these costs, because they did a real good job of really analyzing all the costs of buying the books, fundraising, all those kinds of things.
Well, there's people that I've already spoken to, just, kind of doing some research. I know Councilman Kenny is already, he's gonna be cherry picked because of your knowledge with tournaments and everything. But several Parks and Rec members, I think, would be beneficial. The president of the Lake City Soccer Association, possibly, just to give us an insight on how they run things and what their fee structure is. Ideally, I'd like to have people from all four communities. I would look to all of us to provide me the right people to go to, in Corinth and Shady Shores and Lake Dallas that are involved with the sports programs. But, if we do something outside the box, how far do you have to drive to play racquetball if you live in Hickory Creek? 5 miles, 10-mile radius, personally, I think you gotta go to Highland Village to play racquetball. If we build the first 3 racquetball courts in Hickory Creek and we charge a monthly fee, maybe that's a portion of how we get it built. But let's just look into what our citizens want, what they don't want. Come back and see if it's feasible.
Okay. So what we'll do then is, if you want to form that, then we just put on the agenda a report
Okay.
from Chris regarding the committee and what the findings are, how we'll get library.
Okay, and do you want the focus to be strictly community rec center, not sports complex, or do you want to combine the two?
I think-
Do you want to wait till the next agenda item to discuss that?
Well, I think we need to wait till the next agenda item,
Okay.
because that's the only way you're going to get all of that put together. So is there anything else on D8 we want to discuss? Okay, moving on to D9, discussion regarding the possible construction of a sports complex on U.S. Army Corps of Engineers property leased by our Lands and Waters Foundation. Did you get a chance to talk to those folks, or our Lands and Waters?
I did not. I left one phone message, and they were probably really confused by it.
Yeah. And, that's a group they brought in to help manage under the Corps, because the Corps has been so, understaffed and everything. It's managing a lot of those folks. We met them one time up at one of our meetings at 501C and everything. So we got to go through them now to get to the Corps, basically, on anything.
Well, and I dealt with them parks 4 years ago. They're a nonprofit running those lands. And as you know, that park, the name over there, Lake Dallas Park over there, well, it's Hickory Creek, but the big one that we don't
Yeah, Hickory Creek Park.
lease. there you go.
Westlake?
Westlake.
Westlake.
They got some nice land over there.
Excellent.
When we all saw the marathon or the Spirit of Christmas did a little run over there, it's unbelievable how nice, because it's flat and it's not moving.
And that's the same park that 11 years ago, that Big Sky wanted to come in and do the same complex. Blue Sky. And there's a lot of people in the town.
I read some of that happen.
So you just got to be prepared for that.
So do we, let's be real. I mean, do we still feel that, is the town ready for that? Or I don't want to chase a dog that's already bitten once.
I think first somehow have to get a hold of our Lands and Water folks, because if they cannot provide the land, I don't know where we're going to find the land.
I mean, if you're looking at a complex, that have the recreation center and sports fields, that's going to be the biggest parcel left in the town, other than what's over there at ETJ. That's not going anywhere. That's going to be the largest parcel.
But I think too, we need to sit here and kind of talk about cost. If we're looking at the cost of land, plus they're estimating $3 to $4 million for a facility, that may be right, maybe not. And then you're adding on the cost of preparing fields, you gotta do, there's a lot that goes into, you don't just say, here's a soccer field. I mean, you've got to have lighting, you've got to have restrooms.
Fertilizing, all that is.
Well, I think that's what they're going to,
Yeah, so
what they're going to look
we
into.
need to know those costs, to see, if you were to put a bond.
That's the easy part. I can get data for that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's what, Chris is going to bring back the report on, so we kind of see where we're going, just like we did library. And then we'll say, hey, you know what, we can afford this note, because that's what it's going to be a note. based on the bond on that. As far as purchasing land, it would be a core agreement if they decided to go in with us.
Right.
So there would be no purchase of land, it would just be a lease agreement.
And previously, the Corps said they would not allow any activity in Core property that was not lake-related.
Correct.
So we need to find out if this other organization that has the lease, if it's a different rule now, or if it's the same rule. That could be a deal killer altogether.
Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Each one.
But I think it's worth looking into if there's adequate citizen support and adequate council support.
How do we determine citizen support?
That's a great question. To me, I first asked Parks and Rec, got a unanimous response there, and then asked each of them, are you willing to go and help find champions for this? Are you willing to go and help see who, where, why, what would you want? Can you give me names and phone numbers of people that can give us data, people that can help us learn how to run a soccer association, or at least is Lake Dallas Soccer Association, are they willing to partner with us? Are they willing to use some of our land for a sports field and give us a portion of those registration fees, or reduce the fees that our kids are currently paying, that Lake Dallas kids aren't paying? I've had some initial conversations, and the more the merrier, because they're sending Lake Dallas or community kids to Denton to practice because they don't have enough fields. There's not enough adult softball fields for the current. They have one season of adult softball, and they have 28 teams, 8 games, and the fields are used from 7 in the morning until 6 at night. They don't turn on the lights for them. There's no time to practice on weekends, so people are going up to Denton. I mean, that's some of the data that tells me there's a need for certain things. If we had 1 field or 4 fields, I don't know, but at least we could get in the game if we had some place to practice and some place to play on the normal rotation with the Lake Dallas fields and the Corinth fields.
But I guess I would like to know, what does our community think about if we had to do this as a bond election rather than to vote?
So,
How do we judge?
do we put it out in the newspaper? Do we take a poll on the website? Do we send out a survey monkey to every website, every email address that we have?
I think that could be easy website content. We were talking about survey earlier too, so
The only problem I think in those, if you don't do them properly, you can get people answering multiple times. You've got to have some way to control that, either using Survey Monkey or something like that, where
it throws out questions.
and you're only getting, you could have somebody out there that really, 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 really wants something, and they're sitting there just answering, and then you could get skewed results.
How do you propose it?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking. I don't know.
Either. Other than just talking to people,
Could be worth the mail out too.
Yeah.
Could be too expensive.
Well, this is just initial committee.
Yeah, just some things to think about.
Yeah.
I'd rather gauge where our community is rather than put it out there as a bond and
I think
I'd rather
between,
do a lot of homework first.
I think between the next 1 or 2 meetings, we'll get a lot of information from Chris Will and where we want to go with it.
I don't know how much money to ask for.
Well, it's not even a money factor.
No,
at this
I'm
point.
just, it's so preliminary,
Uh,
Let's get some,
Data on maintained fields, potential, price per square foot, because I know the library figure was, $350 a foot when you looked at bookshelves.
I'd take that to 350.
So when you look at that for the rec center, those kinds of things, and the numbers, we're not even looking at.
great.
Anything else on that? Okay, let's move on. D10, consider and enact on a local cooperation agreement between the Denton County, Texas and the town of Hickory, Texas. Jeffrey, this has to do with, Bobby Mitchell.
Yeah, this is North Hook, with Bobby Mitchell and Denton County Road and Bridge West. I met with Danny Harrison with Denton County Road and Bridge West a week ago this Wednesday. And we drove down North Hook and explained to me what this was gonna entitle, what all they were gonna do. They're gonna dip out all the ditches, get all the positive drainage to tie into where they came up to where their city limit or their ETJ in Foley Beach starts. New culverts, pothole repair, crack sealing, trim limbs back, new sign, everything Only thing that they're not doing is basically putting down a new street.
Right, no cost to the town.
No cost, 100% free, just sign on the dotted line. Bobby Nixon's going to absorb all the costs.
Right. She's already off to a great start.
It sounds like a win-win.
All right, any questions? I'll wait for Councilman McKinney to come back in here.
And that was Danny who was here, and he apologized, he had to.
I figured, I've seen him out there. All right, Dave, you got a start date after this is,
As soon as we can sign it, he's ready to roll. He's still got a backhoe sitting out here to finish up a little bit before we leave, so let's have to hold it off.
I'm sorry?
Hear the noise, back up.
Everybody's went to the center local? You know, and that'll really help, that end of Hook, that North Hook, because we just got to pay repaving Lake and Meadow, so it just kind of brings it around, wraps it up.
And we're currently working on drainage over there, we did the new streets, so it's just all tying together.
Good. Now, is there another project after this one that she can, because we're going in the center local with, is that just going to be for Hook Street?
It's just gonna be for Hook.
Okay,
That's all this one covered.
right.
Yeah. And then we just, me and Danny discussed that.
Councilman Kenny, any discussion on the center local cooperation agreement?
I would have to refer back to my counsel. I think it was just discussed while I was gone.
Zero
But I did
discussion.
not see anything though.
Entertain a motion. Councilman Gordon?
Mayor, I'd like to move that we act on an interlocal cooperation agreement between Denton County, Texas and the town of Hickory Creek, Texas.
Okay, Councilman Gordon made a motion, get a second.
Second.
Councilman Clark seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Good deal. Discussion regarding town council goals include animal shelter beautification board's budget, communication, community involvement, comprehensive plan, drainage, Harbor Grove, I-35 ordinances, Veterans Memorial, Parks, Recreation, roads, and Town Hall Pond. Anything?
I'm gonna give you an update real quick on I-35 roads. I was in a meeting yesterday that Commissioner Mitchell does once a month, and John Holster, the Benton County Transportation guy, said that they were having a meeting of this group called the 1420 Committee yesterday. There is money that has been appropriated, I believe, off the top of my head, it's like 1.4 million or billion, I think it's billion, that they've appropriated for some early projects to get this thing rolling, and I haven't heard the results of the meeting. He was anticipating that maybe this would get kick-started. And I think I've mentioned this before, that one of these early projects is that they're gonna build a bridge on the west side of the bridge out here. It would be at the ultimate level, ultimate width and that they would go ahead and begin doing some managed lanes there to start generating some revenue. If they can get this moving, it would probably be started in the first quarter of 2013. It would have, this and two other there's three early projects, and I'm sorry I don't remember the other two, but the one that really affects us here is the bridge. And they would bring it would come back in. They're not sure if they would actually do the Turbyville jug handle or if it would stop short of that. But hopefully, we're hoping that they want to do the Turbyville jug handle, so that, because then some development could happen there. But anyway, they would take up to 4 years to complete the early projects, get those running, and then there would be future projects that would come off of that. And by, that's like a 10-year overall project to get everything done. So, at least there's movement. You may have read in the paper recently that TxDOT found $2 billion or something, and of that, they went through the formula of how it's all broken down. Dallas gets a certain amount, of that, Fort Worth gets a particular amount. But bottom line, out of that $2 billion, Denton County's getting about $350,000 towards that project. So they feel like they have put together, I think, $1.4 billion. They can become one, I don't know if it's billion or million, I'm sorry, I can't remember.
You got
Does it
more
say on there?
details, but I think the article was either today or yesterday.
Okay.
I think it was $1 billion, that's what I
Did
got
it
there.
say the committee signed off on it?
I thought
Go
it
back
did,
up to
yeah.
the headline.
No signs off.
Yeah, okay, well, good, I hadn't read the news.
You got more details, but 1.4 billion, I think.
In funds that were appropriated by the Senate Bill 1420, that's what they're calling this committee. It's
Yeah.
1.5.
I've noticed
Yeah.
more land acquisition on this side of the freeway, the more central Yamaha's gone now, and they're starting
Yeah,
to.
saw where they were moving. And also, a more immediate thing that they'll start, scratch what I said about 2013. I don't know if that's the date for that or not, does it say?
Said next
Okay.
year.
Okay.
A year from now.
Also, coming probably in December of this year, they're going to go and redo the 407 interchange down there. So that's probably the reason that the Yamaha place. And they're not quite finished with all the land acquisitions. I think they've got 5 or 6 more parcels to go. And then they're pretty much ready to roll on that,
Great.
to go back and redo that interchange. And that will be brought, anything they do along there, they're taking it to the ultimate I-30, they're calling it ultimate I-35 when it's done. So everything will be done to that ultimate level.
Nice.
People with conservation, that way they know what's going on with the electric too.
Oh. Yeah, that's true. Jeffy and I met the other day with, there's a pump station down at the end of Country Lane that pumps all the water up to Denton Lake. And they're having, because TxDOT is pushing them to get their electricity rerouted, and so they're going down to the kind of the corner of Extreme Iron, and then coming across and under, and they're going underground, and there's an easement back through there just south of the barbecue place, an easement that runs through and then turns, and that's where they're going to take their electrical lines and tie them in.
Okay.
Rather than they come across the highway right there by the barbecue.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey, did you talk to the TXU guys about
I haven't got him to call me back. I did leave a message. He
Okay.
has not called me back.
what we discovered in this meeting is the TXU is getting ready to put a new, they're gonna bring, there's been a problem with the wire getting caught by a truck, so they're gonna raise those up. And right there at the corner by barbecue place, they're gonna put a concrete,
50 foot tall, what they told him.
50-foot tall electric pole. And the guys that we were meeting with said, well, do they, they're gonna have to take that out when the freeway expands. And so Jeffrey was gonna call the TXU guys and say, hey, do you realize you're gonna put this pole up and then have to come back and take it down? Because they're not setting it where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So we were gonna see if they could come back and come into that same easement that's already there.
When we requested the demo of 635 Lake House, did we also request the old town hall animal shelter at the same time?
Yes. The
Sorry,
whole,
that's,
Okay, so that should be coming.
the hold up there is they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do with that well. Okay? So it's on the list. They've already done asbestos tests. It's free of asbestos. I mean, it could be demolished any day. They're just trying to figure out what they're gonna do with that well.
already been signed, sealed, just
Okay.
right on there.
Nice.
So,
As well as the pottery shop, they're in litigation on it, and the one right behind Extreme Iron. There's about the back 10-foot section of that building is on private property, and they're arguing over if they're gonna require, buy that last 10-foot peak anyway, on the first floor.
What about the barbecue place?
He has not said anything about the barbecue place.
Anything else on goals? If you would, just have these on these next meetings coming up, so in case something comes up, we can knock those out. All right, next item, before we go into that item, request. Sorry?
I met with half on the additional roads over in Harvard Road.
Okay,
Supposed to be getting the plans and stuff drawn up.
okay, good. Thanks. And before we go into the executive session, we did have a request to appear before the town council. Blanche Dillon, with the state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
This is something we can discuss because it's on the agenda.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Blanche Dillon, I live at One Ridge Drive. Tonight you have a discussion in an executive session related to the enforcement of the town's on-site sewage facility ordinance and related to health and safety rules as they relate to the overflow of septic systems into and around Glenview subdivision. No suit's been filed, so this legally should be heard in front of the residents since there's no detrimental effect. I don't think you should go into executive session. Let's talk about it. I want to enter into public record that the report dated February 1st, 2012 from BBNA inspector for an on-site sewage facility complaint inspection. The report showed no progress from septic systems in Hickory Creek Mobile Home Park. I decided to do some of my own testing for coliform bacteria. I didn't really understand what it was then. I chose several different sites in Hickory Creek and they were all positive for bacteria. The places I tested were just before Randy Wall's property where the retention pond drains out, where the big pipe is on his side of the road. In my subdivision behind Possessive Doucette's house where water's running, and I did that yesterday afternoon. And on the street, 2 houses south of the cul-de-sac where water is seeping out of the ground, and it's just behind my house. I've got a map I'll give you to show you. All areas were positive for coliform bacteria using kits I got from Granger Industrial Supply. There are no septic systems in those areas. After in-depth reading and study, I have a new understanding of why I found organisms and what they do for the environment. They break down waste products, whether it's dead leaves, branches, and twigs, raccoon feces, or feces from dead birds. Coliform, including E. coli, occurs naturally in all mammals, birds, and reptile guts to help break down the waste that's eliminated. This bacteria is a part of the cycle of life and can't be eliminated. And I've got a couple of handouts. And I'm just going to give you, this is the report. And I was talking about, you're probably familiar with it. But this is also talking about our skin and the fact that our skin crawls with bacteria. We're covered with bacteria. And I've just recently realized this, and this study shows bacteria on skin helps prevent inflammation. And all of this is new. They're just discovering all of this. For so long, we've had the cleanliness. Can you turn that off? Thanks. I'm almost done anyway. The issue is not bacteria, but the problem with the construction of Glenview subdivision. The developer was allowed to cut into the side of a steeply sloping hill to level the acreage for home building.
Ms. Dillon, we're going to need to go ahead and end it there because I went ahead and let you talk during this.
Well, I've got more than 3 minutes, though. It's on the agenda.
Well, if it's on the agenda, but it's up to me whether or not we want to continue with the conversation.
Public comment is limited to 3 minutes, whether it's early in the meeting, it's not on the agenda, or if it's during the agenda.
Okay, I make one more little statement, and then I'll be done.
How long is your statement?
It's just 1 sentence.
1 sentence.
And that is that I have documentation of the town inspectors complaining and writing to the town, and this is in 1999, that the displeasure over the developer's lack of attention to
All right.
these issues.
Thank you. Okay, it is 10:03. Town Council will convene executive session pursuant to Chapter 551 of Texas Government Code, Section 551071, consultation with the city attorney and the legal counsel on the matters which the duty of the attorneys, the government body, and the Texas disciplinary rules, professional conduct, and state bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meetings Act. All matters pertaining to pending contemplation of litigation, Section 551 of Section 2, real property to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property to deliberate, no means would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body and any action. Discussion related to the possible acquisition of an easement for the construction of drainage improvements adjacent to the Glenview subdivision.
There's a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. And discussion related to the enforcement of the town's on-site sewage facility ordinance and related to health and safety rules as they relate to the overflow of septic systems into around the Glenview subdivision. Discussion related to the possible acquisition of an easement for the construction of branch units adjacent to Glenview. That's where we can